My name is Brian Steptoe, and I'm very keen on photobooks as a way of presenting work, and my colleague Rod Fry and myself have been putting forward the idea that the RPS should be involved in setting up its first exhibition and competition on photobooks. And this is in progress, and entries will be closing at the 1st of September this year. Just to say a few words about a photo book, what it is. Essentially, it's generally agreed that it's a book with some sort of theme and purpose. It can contain work of any genre, but it has to have some sort of reason for being put together as a book. It's probably not appropriate if it's a book of just your best shots with no other link between them, and nor a illustrated book with a large amount of text and just photographs to show the story, to illustrate the story. The general aim is to encourage members to put in a book made by one of the many print-on-demand systems available, or indeed a handmade book. And the entries I'll go through here in this talk, something about the international photo book exam scene and the way in which these things are judged, what the criteria are that's generally accepted, and give you some hints on producing photo books, and generally encourage you to submit. First of all, we'll show some examples. The Cassell photo book exhibition takes place in various locations around Europe, and in 2014 it's travelling to Athens, Cologne, Dublin, Madrid, Milan, Oslo, Paris, Rome, and to Sao Paulo. The organisers are looking for first submitted dummy books, as they're called, the first construction of a book by the author for presenting to a potential publisher. So it's very much for the new entries into the photo book publishing scene. They have a jury that makes a short list and selects 50 photo books, and these then go forward for awards.
There are two categories in these awards. The first, photo book, and the photo book of the year. Photo book of the year is open to anybody and everybody. It's a category that's dominated by the traditional publishers. Photographers can be living or dead, or the work can be historic or contemporary. And then the first photo book awards is for a photographer's first book that specially sets out to recognise emerging talents in the form of a photographer or artist's first forays into the world of bookmaking.
In September, the Photo Book Review announced a short list of 30 books. Those 30 books were brought to Paris and reviewed by a jury of 5 individuals. Those included Timothy Proust from the Archive of Modern Conflict, Els Barnt from the House Marseille, Roxana Marcacci from MoMA, Thomas Seelig from the Winterthur Museum, and Britt Salveson from LACMA. The jury of 5 decided that the photo book of the year was by Anders Petersen. The book is City Diaries, and it was published by Steidl. This book was selected because they felt that it really was an amazing example of how a book can create something that is more than the sum of its parts. That all of the images are fantastic on their own, but together they really create another narrative. It's actually 3 individual books in a very nondescript cardboard case. It was designed by Gregor Olaf Nielsen from Gun Gallery, and it's really tactily beautiful. The printing is gorgeous. It's a very immersive experience. The jury deliberated and was very pleased to announce that Con Cresco by David Galliard, which is a self-published book, is the winner of the first Photo Book Prize. As in looking at the selections for the Book of the Year, The jurors really paid attention to the tactility of the objects, how the decisions brought together and were able to communicate the body of work in a really excellent way. In this case, the book features small inset tipped in pages that sometimes you see, sometimes you don't see. You might open the book and think that it's just a book of pictures, but in fact there are these texts, and the texts reveal a hidden history. The jurors felt it presented an excellent document, it acted as an excellent document, and really brought all of the elements together that require excellence in a book into one package. It's actually about bunkers in Albania. Now, this is a topic that you might think, why do we want to look at a book about bunkers in Albania? The beauty of this book is it really makes you want to learn about them and to look at these pictures. And again, not just visually having the visual information, but having interviews with Albanians about Albanians' difficult past that has remained hidden. So it features these hidden elements in these tipped-in sections that really bring to life the story in a very unique way.
Well, the landscape for photography publishing is changing very fast. I mean, probably everybody knows about how Amazon and the traditional booksellers, the whole field of selling books is changing, but on the book making side, there's something incredible happening in the world of photography, which 10 years ago, publishers like Aperture were the exclusive gateway to the possibility of having a book. There are 40 publishers worldwide who published maybe 400 books in total, and that constituted the photography publishing output. I mean, I'm not counting general illustrated publishing, but the photo book in the sense that we understand it. Now, anybody can participate. A culture has emerged of photographers who make their own books, who sell them online or through small art fairs. You're probably going to visit the off-print art fair, which is a fair of people who make their own books.
A Shimmer of Possibility by Paul Graham won the Paris Photo Book Prize in 2011. It was first published by Mac Books and in a series of 10 separate volumes which contained a different number of images, some as low as 1 and as many as 50 odd. The set of books in this form have long been out of print and are highly valued and collectible. It's been replaced by a single volume copy, which is also now fairly rare and which we'll go on and examine in the next section. This single volume edition of Paul Graham's Shimmer of Possibility has dividers, coloured dividers, which mark the locations where the previous separate volumes would have happened. It's a book of little snippets wandering through the small areas in America. Some images on the page are small, some are large. I'm trying to find a large one here just to give you an example. Well, failing, but anyway, here is a well-known scene of someone mowing an endless lawn, and you see the pictures are quite small on the page. Other sort of related or maybe unrelated things, and then we've got our mower going on again, and there's the shelves again, yet again, and there we are. It's snippets of life in parts of the States. There we are, I found a large one at last. Snippets of life in various parts of America. One assumes relatively poorer parts from some of the images, and it's essentially little excerpts of what the photographers found wandering through the landscape. And we've got, let's have a look at some others here. We've got little snippets of things on the street, other things happening on the street as he wanders along. You see there's some varying image sizes on the pages, some blank pages, some rather mysterious objects clutching on a coffee pot, the couple carrying Pepsi Cola along the street. Features quite highly in this section. Not a lot happening, but there we are, that's the sort of book it is. And we have another section, if I can find the right one, on King's Meat Market, on a road intersection, and then there again with a vehicle moving along. And what I think is probably the most iconic image in the book, this one, which gives you a flavour for what's in there. Red-Headed Peckerwood by Christian Patterson won the top award at the Rencontre d'Arles Photobook exhibition, shown in conjunction with their photographic exhibition in 2012. It's a recreation of a real-life murder mystery which happened in Nebraska in the late 50s, with a boy and a girl, a gun and a fast car. And there's an insert in the book which gives the story of the real life situation, and this is recreated by Christian Patterson travelling to these locations that were involved, capturing some of the scenes that were still in existence, and photographing to try and recreate the story of life in that part of the States at the time. The first murder, if I remember, or one of the early ones, was in a gas station, a gasoline station, and this gives a flavour for that. In total there were 11 murders. And various inserts in there, some of which are recovered documents from press or police files. Some of it's recreation. So it's a semi-factual, semi-fictional story based on the real life happenings. You can see a wide range of uses of the page. Storm clouds, shotgun blast, general scene. It's meant to recreate the feelings of what was going on in the world at the time in that location. And we finish up with some press photos, if I can find them. There's the girl involved, a press photo or a police photo. That's probably the back of the same card as that's on. A bit more of the story in there. Another press photo, and you finish up with a map of where some of these things happened in a place called Lincoln. So that's it. Christian Patterson, Red-Headed Peckerwood, very highly regarded book, published again by Mac Books. I'd like to say a few things about the criteria that are used in international exhibitions and competitions for selecting the shortlist and the winning photo books from those submitted. Usually these events get a few hundred, 600 to 800 typically books sent in, and there's a jury of a few people who make a shortlist from that, and then it goes forward to a different jury for final selection. Jury members are often people like curators, writers on photography, and actual publishers or other experts on photo books. Very rarely do they actually include photographers themselves. So the criteria are published on the internet, certainly for Paris Photo and for Cassell, the two major ones, and they basically comprise 4 parts. There's the concept of the book, what it's all about, and the value of the concept. There's the photography in the book and how that relates to the concept and vice versa. There's the editing of the book, the sequencing of pictures, the layout on the pages, and the spreads as you open a pair of pages, how the left hand and the right hand relate, if there are images on both of those. And finally, the actual feel of the book in the hand, the paper, the binding, the cover, and the general quality of the book, again related to the concept. Some books are on newsprint, and some books are on top quality papers. Obviously the way in which the weight of these things is judged by individual selectors varies according to their background, but generally speaking the photography accounts for about 50% of the total value of the assessment, and the other factors together the other half. Now if we look at the winning photo books I've shown, my personal feeling is that the concept, the value of the story, the freshness of the story, whether it's something that's never been done before or something that's never been done in that particular way before, that seems to lift it from being a reasonable submission to an award-winning item. Now the RPS exhibition and competition we plan to run on similar lines. We want to be able to hold our heads high in the international field if we can move forward to that, and as our final judge selector is Jerry Badger, we want him to appreciate that we've tried hard to match those 4 criteria that I've mentioned. Obviously we'll have to cut our cloth according to the submissions we get, but that's our aspiration. Now a few words about what makes a quality photo book. In my view, I always recommend that people wanting to put a book together make a number of small prints of the edited version of the project they're trying to cover, perhaps 100 or so, maybe a few more, and lay those all out on the floor or on a large table and try and juggle them around to see what works with what and what's a reasonable sequence. Get another opinion if you possibly can as well. So many photo books are, I think, in danger of not succeeding as well as they might because the authors rush to use online computer systems to produce the final result before they've actually done enough prior thinking about editing and sequencing. The other criteria, the other suggestions I have for improving quality of photo books are look particularly if you've got text and captions and reduce the depth of colour of those from a dead 100% black to something like 70 or 80%, and that reduces the clash between the strength of the text or caption and the strength of the picture. So there we have it. We're expecting books to be submitted using the various on-demand production systems. We're not accepting trade-produced, published books, but your own personal books created using any of the available online systems, and we're very much welcoming handmade artist books, individual produced books, and we hope we see a selection of those amongst the submissions. So we wish you every success and look forward to seeing a sizable entry for our first 2014 RPS photo book exhibition.